One of the things Anchorage, Alaska needs is is for its coastal trail to make a connection with Government Hill. Ed, Having to cut across Second Avenue and go up to the the trail that's currently on the port access just won't do, because having to go so far out of the way makes it very hard. So what you see in white here is actually the planning as of to where it's supposed to go. And we've actually found a route in which it can go. So a part of the neighborhood that's down below where Christian Drive is, we can actually have it go up over some of these old buildings right here, and it can keep on going out over the credit union, over Ship Creek, and make its connection to the junction of Whitney Road and uh, and the Government Hill side. And then you can walk up the hill a lot easier, especially for like cross country skiers, so that they can make their way to Government Hill without having to go through the train yard or over it on the port access. It's kind of hard to make it, if you see what I mean. In this picture, as you can see, is like the Government Hill Trail. It's supposed to kind of go along the hillside so that you can get a good view of the train yard. Would make it a lot easier. The yellow lines happen to mark the boundaries of the terrace that should go along Government Hill. If you've probably seen where it's at, it would be in an artistic show that I, Von Heffler, have. It's supposed to kind of make it easy to get to get up and down the hill and to go across the yard and to make some bridges and such. If you wanted to try this, you'd be surprised. Yeah, and it actually won't. Actually, the falls on the hill won't happen nearly as much with this new idea that we have. This new idea, we can actually make Government Hill look a whole lot nicer than it is now. It won't be as crummy looking. The moose probably won't like it, but it won't look nearly as bad, and it'll last a lot longer too. Over here in this picture is what some people have had the thought of, kind of having another causeway going going to Government Hill, as well as the C Street one you see on the left. This the this one happens to be Ingra and Gamble Street that go that where the old Native American hospital used to be. It had to be demolished because it was on bad land and it was built so poorly. But the new one there at Tudor Center definitely looks and feels right with what it does. And you can actually see the train yard from that view, and you can get to the south side of Government Hill a lot easier too. And it would make it a lot easier because then you can go down and see some things that you've never seen before. This will eventually connect to having a better road that goes by the port and over to a bridge that'll eventually go across Knik Arm. Make it a lot easier if we can do just that. Down here happens to be the west end of Government Hill, where the ferry terminal at the port of Anchorage is located. You drive in on this road and it takes you over to the ferry terminal, or to the terminal where the Alaskan cruise would be. And that's how you get there from here. I mean, there's cruises like once each week, and you can get on one and it'll take you down to the lower 48, or it'll take you up through the Arctic Passage. You name it. I mean, that's about where you could go. In this picture, however, this is about like 200, 300 feet from the guard booth to the port. As you can see, the port of Anchorage, just like all other ports, is now restricted access to just port personnel only. And that has nothing to do with 9/11 in 2001. That was a law that was passed in the early part of 2001 because of safety. safety is a priority when it comes to the port, and a lot of visitors, can get hurt on things, and it costs too much money for their insurance to be able to kind of cover someone who doesn't work there. Only those who work there can be covered by the insurance, and and because there were a lot of safety issues in 2000, they had to close the port to the public. Yeah, we Google may eventually get permission to film the area if by chance they happen to know what they're doing, and if they're proven trusted not to film anybody's personal space, and if the FAA has all agreed that everybody's sorry for 9/11. This will help us know that the terrorism was our fault to begin with. As you can see right here in this picture, this was Bluff Drive before they closed it. It was always a fun tradition to go visit and walking on the port, but with liability at stake, I think it's a lot easier to just traumatize a tradition than our loved ones, because our loved ones need to be safe, and we care about your safety much more than anything, and so that's why we don't allow just anyone on the port anymore. We could have just kind of put the guard booth down by Bluff Drive, but we had to close this part of Bluff Drive because it's between some fuel tanks, and Comet collided with one and it destroyed the whole thing. And that's one thing. Nobody was here when it happened, but we were so afraid that your car could get destroyed in there, or you could. So that's why we don't allow people down Bluff Drive anymore. However, if you take a look at this other picture of Erickson Street, you may be surprised at what we've changed here. The yellow part still applies with the terraces going around Government Hill, and I think they'll probably eventually build over the old part of Bluff Drive. The stars are all the gateways or blocks in the road to the port, so you know that that's where the boundary is. Erickson Street would go along the west side of AT&T Alascom and Government Hill Elementary School, and then it will turn and go downward into the backside of the port. When the terraces do get built, we won't be needing a fence along Bluff Drive anymore. We'll actually be using it it'll be down at the bottom, and then you can walk it up and down the terraces there. This road along Erickson Street will go all the way into and through the backside of the port, and then it'll go all the way this way, and then it'll eventually, right here on the back, between Cherry Hill and the rest of the port, and then eventually this will become yet another gate onto the Air Force Base. Yeah, and it'll actually be going under all the terraces, and then eventually the bridge will turn west and keep going, and then in the very last picture, this is where it will go. It'll go all the way, connect with Goose Bay Highway. Then we can have a third way in and out of Anchorage, as well as Glen Highway and Seward Highway. Would make it a lot easier, because then we can try to, and people can have a shorter route outside, and we don't have to worry about congestion on Glen Highway anymore. Won't that be neat?